a.m. Good morning. So what you have in front of you is the 2023 SHSP grant. It stands for the State Homeland Security Grant Program. It is a counterterrorism focused grant, and you guys gave me permission to apply for it back in April. I did so. I put in 2 project proposals for $150,000 each. We were awarded one of the proposals. There was $17 million requested statewide from various agencies, and only $4 million was awarded. So we got one of the projects, which is pretty cool. So this project, Bethany presented the award to you on October 4th, and you accepted it at your meeting, but I think Tom just wanted me to come and review it with you. You should have a little packet that has 2 or 3 stapled pages, and it says the investment application. If you turn to the last page of that, you'll see what I put in for the project. So the first project and the biggest project was a public address system or some sort of mass audio notification system for the various government buildings. This I've budgeted tentatively $133,000 of the $150,000. We also have a project for locking devices for the doors in the various government offices. This I've allocated $2,000 for, and these numbers are flexible. They probably will change as we start getting bids. So there may be extra money left over from the PA system that we could throw in one of these other project lines. We also put in a project for bullet resistant glass film, which is just a film that goes over windows, $12,500 for that project. And lastly is $2,500 allocated for an emergency door control panel for the schools. They have some sort of drop down gate in, I want to say it's in the high school. And right now, if they were to drop that gate, they have to physically leave the office and go press a button on the wall to get that to drop. So they requested some money to get a button in the office where they could drop that gate and keep an intruder out instead. So we have been awarded, everything is done on our end other than the last step, which is accepting the award. An email was sent to the general commissioner's email. I think it was last Thursday or Friday. And they're requesting that we just electronically sign that. And that will give us our $150,000. There's about a 2-year performance period on this. It ends on September 30th, 2025. So we have plenty of time to do these projects. And there's no cost share for this. So it's 100% reimbursable from the federal government. Yes, I do quarterly reports on these grants.
Does this cover both buildings?
It can cover as many as we have money for. So I don't know exactly what kind of system we'll be looking at. I want to put a team together to give us some ideas and talk through what we need. So we have up to $133,000 for this. So if it only costs $10,000 to outfit a building, then cover a lot more buildings.
And can the $150,000 grant be utilized throughout these different line items? So if it's, you've got 133 there and you do it for.
It's hard to hear you.
It's on. If you've got 133 there, it costs 123 to do that, but it costs $5,000 for the locking devices. Can you move that money between items?
We can. So my first order of business I want to tackle is coming up with a cost estimate for the PA system. I want to make sure that we can fund that first. And then anything that's left over from that, we can reallocate into those other lines. As long as we don't change the scope of the project, which is the mass notification system and extra security measures, then we can move money around as needed. And all of these are considered equipment line items. So it'll be just when I go to council and ask for the appropriation, it'll just be one line item for $44,000 fund for equipment. And then if I need to adjust the budget, then I can do that with IDHS.
Any other questions for Amy? So have you got something, Amy, to sign or?
It's an email that just needs to be electronically signed, so we just need,
DocuSign?
yeah, we just need that DocuSign approved, I think by today, because it's got a 5-day time period and it was sent last week.
So I'd make a motion that we have Tom electronically sign the application for the 2023 State Homeland Security Program investment application.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Thank you, guys.
Brent from Ritter Strategic Services.
Good morning. My name is Brent Meadows. I represent Ritter Strategics. Barry Ritter cannot be here today. He's with his father who's having surgery, but I believe he is on the line on a Zoom call. So what we're going to do today is walk through the Franklin County EMS program that we have. I'm going to kind of give you an overview of how the project started and where we're at today with our recommendation. In August of 2023, Ritter Strategic Services was hired to come in and look at the current EMS structure of Franklin County and to put together a plan resulting in an RFP, which is a request for proposal of organizations who would like to provide ambulance service in the county. One of the first things we did was establish a working group consisting of local officials, public safety representatives, and a citizen to assist with the project. And together with the information that we collected, we are meeting here today to provide you with that information. On November 1st of 2023, commissioners published a specification for emergency medical ambulance service for Franklin County. The specifications were developed from input of existing EMS providers, public safety officials, and other elected officials in accordance with industry standards, best practices, and the Indiana Department of Homeland Security Commission rules. The specifications require 2 full-time ambulances staffed at the advanced life support, which is what we call the high level or paramedic certification, or at the basic life support, which is EMT or advanced EMT, with a strategic plan to meet the paramedic services level within the term of the contract. The commissioner's priority through the RFP was to provide the best pre-hospital care available while being fiscally responsible. Currently, the county is covered by an organization providing EMT, emergency medical technician, or an advanced EMT certified level. The current provider depends on surrounding counties and mutual aid agreements to provide the paramedic or higher level of pre-hospital care. The specifications that were approved by the commissioners gave 2 options. Option 1 was a basic life support or lower level certification, or an advanced life support or a higher level paramedic certification. The working group members, as outlined in your letter, were John Heiss, the commissioner. And if I get the name wrong, I apologize. Jeff Coach, counsel. Greg Mehlenbauer, the mayor. Major with the sheriff's office. John Hunley, emergency communications, and Bethany Lures, who is the citizen. On November 29th, we received 3 registered proposals from 3 qualified providers. Those providers included the current provider, Franklin County EMS, Heartland EMS, and Let's Volunteer Fire Department and EMS Service. All 3 of the providers submitted proposals that matched their EMS certification level at the time of submission. While Franklin County proposed a phased-in approach, the phased-in approach allows Franklin County to pursue their certification as advanced life support at the high level, again, which we call paramedic service, and then hire certified personnel. Franklin County EMS stated in their proposals that they can achieve the paramedic level of service within the first 2 years of the contract. So then there's a small chart there saying that all 3 organizations can meet or exceed the advanced life support paramedic service, with Franklin County having a phase-in of 2 to 4 years. So I'm now going to go over the 3 proposals at a high level. Franklin County EMS currently has a contract that's existing now that says for the first 6 months, which would be from January of 2024 to the end of June 2024, that they would receive $349,998 at the lower level, transitioning to a paramedic service. Their second option was to, again, create a paramedic service with paramedic providers within the first 2 years of the contract. From July 1 of 2024 to July 30th of 2025, their bid proposal for a paramedic service was $1,532,750. $1,532,750. From July 1 of 2025 to June 30th of 2026, their bid proposal was $1,594,060. If they moved on to the paramedic after that 2 years of bringing paramedics on board, their bid would be $1,932,000. From July of 2026 to June of 2027, at their basic level, it was $1.657,822 million. And with paramedics, it was $2,009,280. In the last year of the contract, from July 1st of 2027 to June 30th, if it was at the lower level of EMT staff or advanced EMT staff, it was $1,724,135.30. At the ALS level, their bid would be $2,089,651.20, which made their total amount to provide paramedic service over the years of the contract, $7,913,679.20. Heartland Ambulance, who is the second provider with an office in Muncie and Indianapolis and other places, proposed either ambulance staff with paramedics, 2 of them, with a chase truck, or option 2, 2 ambulances staffed with EMTs with a paramedic chase truck. And I won't go over, well, I will tell you the bid amount. The total bid amount for them with paramedics was $4,204,800, and that was for the life of the contracts from 24 through 27. But during the working group meetings and information we received in background checks, there were some unfavorable recommendations for Heartland. The third organization that bid was Let's Volunteer Fire and EMS. They submitted a proposal for option one, which was paramedics, staff for 2 ambulances with paramedics and EMTs, and a chase truck staffed with paramedics. So again, I want to make sure you understand this. I may have misspoken. Let's Volunteer proposal was 2 ambulances staffed with EMTs and a paramedic chase truck, 24/7. For 2024, their bid was $1,338,333. For year 25, it was $1,460,000. For 2026, it was $1,460,000, the same number. And for 2027, it was $1,460,000. So their total to provide paramedic service for the county for 24 through 27 was $5,718,333. On December 5th, we went down to started and conducted interviews with Franklin County EMS, Heartland EMS, and Let's EMS. Purpose of the interviews was to let each provider give us their comprehensive overview in their own words. The working group members also focused questions on each one of the organizations, talking about things like chase trucks, number of ambulances, where they were going to be located. And this gave the working group an opportunity to really examine what the proposal was, as well as each organization brought ambulances and equipment that they use here to this facility, and it gave the working group time to go down and look at the equipment and ask additional questions. There was additional meetings on December 7th with Let's Volunteer Fire and EMS in Greensburg to further interview the chief, tour the facility, and review their plans for assigning ambulances and personnel to Franklin County in the event they were awarded a project. Ritter Strategics did not identify any areas for concern and reported this information to the working group. The working group met and has unanimously recommended that the commissioners award the EMS project to Let's Volunteer Fire Department EMS for the 4-year period for option one, advanced life support paramedic service, as requested in the RFP. Here are the reasons the working group recommended Let's. They met all the criteria for Franklin County and appeared to be the best option for the safety of the residents of Franklin County. They will provide advanced life support paramedics on day one. Let's was able to explain their bid and why they requested what they did and how that money would be used for their services, and agreed to operate within the subsidy. Let's has existing contracts with hospitals for patient transports at the critical care level and are in good standing. Let's comes highly recommended by a community hospital to provide paramedic care for Franklin County. They appear to have a very comprehensive plan to staff 2 full-time ambulances and a paramedic staff chase truck 24/7 for the citizens of Franklin County. The citizens of Franklin County should have the highest level of paramedic care when calling 911, which currently is not offered by EMTs or advanced EMTs at a lower level. Let's has an extensive training program where they continue to educate and advance their employee certifications to the next level of service. Let's has expressed a deep interest in hiring local employees to join their service. Let's has shown a very strong interest in their current community events and have showed a continual strong interest in supporting the community events of Franklin County. The working group acknowledges that Let's Volunteer EMS subsidy request was not the lowest of the three proposals. The working group makes a recommendation with the understanding that Let's was the most responsive to the needs of Franklin County. Upon the commissioner's awarding of this project to Let's, Ritter Strategics is prepared to work with your legal counsel to begin contract negotiations. And that is the end of the report. Is there any questions?
Um, So you say Let's is going to be a paramedic service from day one, which is what date?
Well, currently you have a contract in place with the current provider, which goes into the years 2024, which will require a 90-day notification from either that provider to the commissioners or the commissioners to the provider that that service will be terminated after 90 days, which would bring us to a start date of April 1st of 2024. So from April 1st of 2024, when the new provider would start, they will be paramedic from day one.
Brent, originally, I think Letz's proposal said that they would be available to start in February. But their proposal, and correct me if I'm wrong, included some dollars for training that was not actually required by the RFP. They misunderstood something in there, so they've got an exaggerated number in training that Barry wants to be able to go back and negotiate with them to remove that number, which would further bring down Letz's overall cost.
That is correct. When we met with them, we discussed that with them. That is an option based on who the contract is awarded to take a closer look at that to come up with final numbers before the contract is signed.
And then if awarded, we were also talking about negotiating to align, as you mentioned, the current contract with the start of any new contract that's awarded.
That's correct.
I don't know, I just have a couple of questions more, Mr. Brent. Of course, Franklin County EMS has been around here since the '70s, since probably EMS was invented, on the national. So them not being able to be paramedic from day one was a factor, or was it the price for both, or?
The committee that was formed to look at this, looked at everything, and the fact that they could not become paramedics day one was one of the factors, and financially was another factor, yes.
Bill, those numbers are pretty, what you had in mind as pretty written in stone.
You're good. So the numbers that he read off is pertaining to us. I don't have that stuff in front of me, but in our bid, we had we literally put red and black. They were just two different colors for option one or option two. and there were different colors. And I believe if you add them all up, it's a different number, but I didn't bring that with me, or I don't have that application with me, but that was our situation. And so, and we did intend on bringing paramedics in as quick as we could hire. And so it's just a matter of, we have to go out and shop for them. The other candidates very well may just have them in place. So, but yeah, that was our intentions, but I do believe the numbers are not correct. I will say that. But the numbers, if I tell you I've got I've got 2 units in service 24/7 with a chase truck with a paramedic or an ALS until I get all my paramedics in play, then, and that's 24/7. So it's day one, you've got ALS and or a paramedic guaranteed. And that's one of the reasons we said we wouldn't get this, we could get this thing started right away, or we gave ourselves till June or July to actually get it started because we wanted to hire those paramedics. So we don't know if we can hire them all tomorrow, or if we're going to hire them all in 3 months. So that was our point. But I will say the numbers I do, our 1.535, we added 4% to that number. And then we added 4% to that number. And then we added 4% to that number. And the number that he threw out there that was 1.9 was a different option for us.
Yeah, 1.9 is the ALS high level.
It would be a different, if it's in my application, it's a different color. But it would have been in a different color. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think,
Mr.
One-
Chairman,
go ahead. Go ahead, Barry.
yeah, this is Barry. I apologize for not being there, but referencing the numbers that Brent has reported to you to the proposal submitted by Franklin County EMS, those numbers are true and accurate as proposed.
Anybody else?
No, and just to clarify, and Bill, if you could, on Franklin County EMS proposal, one of the sticking points that the committee had was that at least the first year, and I have the greatest amount of respect for the volunteers of our community, whether they're with Franklin County EMS or our fire departments. One of the sticking points was that these numbers included one hired paid truck and one truck that, though guaranteed, would be staffed by volunteers. Is that correct per your proposal? And our concern was there have been times, and this is an opportunity to alleviate this concern with the commissioners. But the panel's concern was that there have been times in the past when, using the volunteer system, we have not had service in Franklin County. We have had days where we have no EMS in service. Our question was, if we've got one truck paid and one truck that is staffed by volunteer, how could we guarantee that second truck be in service? I mean, to say so seemed to us then to say that in the past, in scheduling, we had indicated in the meetings that we scheduled 30 days in advance. And scheduling the volunteers 30 days in advance, that indicated to us that we had knowledge of outages of EMS 30 days in advance of that actually occurring. And yet we weren't notified until the day of the outage. That was a concern. And how would you address that going forward to make sure that we always had that second truck in place?
So our application or whatever that we filled out per the rest, we guaranteed you two. So it's our word. We guaranteed you as requested in the proposal. Didn't say whether they had to be paid or not paid. It said, you got to guarantee me two. We guaranteed you two. One is going to be paid on our behalf. It's sit at EMS 2. The second one will be available to you on a that we guarantee. And that unit could be in one of 3 locations. It could be at Laurel, could be in Brookville, and it could be in Drewsburg. At the same time, we believe that 75% of the time, you'll have at least 3 trucks available to you, and in some cases, 4. And if you go back in your comment about being out of service for a day, I believe you need to use the word hours, and I admit to that. There were cases where we have been out of service entirely for a matter of hours, and we quickly put that back in play. Our board is completely aware of the commitment that we're making, telling you 2 trucks. And we're committed to that, 2 trucks. And what's interesting, I will say on our end is I could go back in the last 10 days and tell you how many times you needed 3, and we had it covered. And we'll have it covered as the future with 3. And there could be cases of 4. So I want to say a week from this is Wednesday, so it's not a week from today. I have 3 runs, Oxford Pike, Guelph Street, New Trenton. As of right now, does anybody know how many trucks we got in service? 2? Currently have 2. In a lot of cases, we have 3. And that was just one of the advantages we brought to the table, but I'm not here to debate the decision. The committee was put in place to come up with that decision, and if the commissioners want to act on that, they can. If they want to table it, I guess that's an option for them too. So I can answer any questions. Let me know what I can do.
I know John's been, in the negotiations with these, but Cherry and I's kind of been in the dark. So this morning's the first time we've seen any of this paperwork or these figures or whatever. So I sat back here trying to digest them all, but I don't know. It's a hard decision for me to make. So I'm so partial to Franklin County EMS. Because years ago, I did volunteer on the EMS there, and my wife did too for like 13 years. But those are days, I guess, gone in the past, and people are requiring a higher level of service now. So I don't know. But
There was a lot that was presented, the way that this was laid out. It was, we gave Barry time to put together the proposal, that the committee made. And I will say there are some comments here from different committee members that Barry had asked for that are included in the report that's given to commissioners. I intentionally withheld any of my comments from the report. So none of these reflect my own opinion. Though the committee was in unanimous agreement about the recommendation, or we did come to a unanimous agreement about the recommendation based on the proposals that were presented in front of us that day. I was mentioned this morning, and I would totally understand if you guys wanted to take any time to look at this. And I think we have a meeting next week again. You had mentioned, Tom. So if you want to bring it to a vote today to approve, we can bring it to a vote. If you guys want to hold off on this, it does not, I verified with Barry, and it would not affect our timeline at all if we were to make a decision on this at the meeting on the 20th.
I'll make a motion, we table until the next meeting.
I'll second. That'll give us time to look over this and look at the notes from, or talk to the people that was on the committee and make the best decision possible for the residents of Franklin County.
So one of the questions I had was, Bill pointed out that you had at times you might have 3 or 4 units available. And is that a possibility if Let's got the contract? They would have more than 2 units available or not?
Well, the RFP required 2
Yeah.
staffed ambulances 24/7 and the option of a paramedic chase truck. As far as having a 3rd or a 4th, however, Let's manages that because they have more trucks. in a county over and they're doing transports all the time. So there may very well be a chance that they'll be backfilling with other trucks, but I can't answer that because it was not part of the RFP. The chief is here from Let's. If you, could they defer that question to you, sir?
Please, sir.
So my name's Matt Morrow. I'm the fire chief at Let's. Your question is, yes, we possibly could have more trucks. The way we're going to staff our trucks, 2 basic EMTs per truck and then a paramedic chase. So let's say there's a run in Laurel that's requires a paramedic. So that paramedic would get on the truck, the EMT would come back in the chase vehicle. So we would have, possibly have a half a truck to respond, or, that EMT to respond to take care of a patient in the meantime. I also have an ambulance at Margaret Mary Health in Batesville, 24/7, 365. So there's always a possibility too of pulling that truck to help if needed. I mean, I think there's a lot of moving parts, to say, yes, I could have 4 trucks is probably not possible, but, there's always a possibility with the way we're going to staff our vehicles. So we'd always have 2 EMTs on each truck and then a paramedic chase.
So you could divert the ambulance from Batesville.
Yeah, if they're not
to Franklin
busy.
County.
If they're not busy, yeah. Kind of backfill.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is Barry.
Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I would support commissioners taking this under advisement. And in addition, John, what I would ask is that the proposals that were submitted are still confidential in nature as part of the project. However, I would ask that we share the full proposals of all 3 providers with the other 2 commissioners to give them the opportunity to read the entire proposal and not just the report that was submitted.
I would appreciate that. I'd like to read it.
We might have to lean on you for a copy of that, Barry. I believe I've already shred I'll look back, but I believe I shred those proposals when we finish.
I'll ask the
reviewing.
committee to deliver their copies to the commissioner's office.
Thank you.
I have a copy also, Barry.
If you could leave yours, that'd be great.
All right, so then we'll make the permanent decision the 20th, 10 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brent.
What? Yeah, I think you were, weren't you, John? He was in favor of tabling it till next week.
Yeah, that's it all.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Pete Cates. Oh,
Those 2 that left is on our second run. That's Bryce's 3rd run.
I've got a form from Fernando, I believe, or at least in front of Tom. It's the SRO agreement with the schools for my resource officers. I've signed it. The superintendent of schools have signed it. We just need to have you, Tom, or an agreement to sign the agreement, and council signed it last night.
okay, I'd entertain a motion for me to sign the resource school officer.
I'll make a motion that Tom sign the school resource officer agreement as presented.
Again, that's for two school resource officers in the school system. So I appreciate it, guys.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Missy,
Good morning.
good morning.
I have a couple things. The first one is, I know you have a copy of the invoice from Cabs, which is the used van that
Oh, okay.
John Palmer had presented. We could get a steel on it, no mechanical defects or anything. It's in excellent condition for $3,000, which we desperately need backup vans. So that's the invoice for the auditors to look at. My second would be, this was from the 2021 grant that Kathy Pelzer had put in and asked for a new vehicle. And then COVID hit and the new vehicles were put on hold. Then in June of this year, I presented, they had given the go-ahead to get one of those vehicles. So I presented that and they gave it at a discounted rate because prices had increased so much from COVID to
Yeah.
present. So they were giving it to us at half the cost, $12,479. That should be ready in the next week and a half for pickup. So that would be, I would need a check for 114,679. And then that would be reimbursed by this one would be. This is the CARES one. We
This is
pay
one
for-
from 21, the
Yeah,
brand,
yeah.
that we never did get.
Right,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
It was my understanding from Carla that this company was going to build the federal amount of portions to them. And all we need to come up with is the local fund amount, which was the 12,000.
Right. Typically, we pay the total and then they reimburse us. But if this is different,
I
if she
think
got
it's
something
yeah, it's
different.
different
okay,
this time.
Okay, all
So
right.
we've got it all arranged for you.
Okay, well, good. Then that's
Okay.
good. Yeah, typically we pay the price and cost and then they reimburse. Third one is the one that I put in our 2024 agenda. We had a vehicle that was totaled at the end of 2021, or I'm sorry, 2022. We got a insurance check for 21,000 in February of this year. And then NDOT just sent out a letter, I just deposited it into the bank. It's just sitting there. Hasn't been touched or anything. They have now deemed that any insurance policies that are received from federal vehicles that are totaled goes towards the purchase of a new vehicle. So I have that in our 2024 grant. The cost from the 2024 grant was 22,940. So actually, all you will have to match would be $1,117. So we have a savings there.
How much do you have for reimbursement?
21 for our insurance, it was, find it. 21,823.
So all we got to come up is that one amount. So for a new truck.
That paper there, I just copied from the email from NDOT, how they break it down for that insurance and what we do. So we got the 21,863, which will go towards the 22,940 and cut that out, that the county will not have to match.
I'm good with that. Get a new truck for $1,100.
Yeah,
Is that already in public transportation budget that we're approving, or do we need additional monies?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is that already in the public transportation budget and we're just
Yeah.
approving the
Mhm.
expenditure?
Yeah, that 22 was already budgeted for in the 2024 budget. And then they just literally sent that email out a week ago that that insurance money will go towards this vehicle. So that, yeah, that's a big savings.
So will your fleet be in pretty good shape now with these new vehicles? I said, will your fleet be in good shape now that,
Yes. If that one, obviously, we won't get till sometime in 2024, but this used one, and then this one from 2021 will
help a lot?
help a lot. The two that are being replaced by it, the one is, I don't even know how Troy is keeping it together, to say the least. We very rarely get it out, but occasionally we have to, and it's running, but not dependable. And this, yes, this will get us in a good spot. And then I just wanted to give a few more, just end of the year updates. Last time I was here, I talked about needing drivers. We have hired 3 part-time drivers, so we're set. As long as they stay, we're set. The roof is done on both buildings. Crawley's did a wonderful job. We are keeping up, I'm keeping up with Lisa and Faye on our quarterly visits and ride-alongs. We just need to schedule one for this month, and that'll be our last quarter ride-along that they do. We're keeping everything up to date with that. I'm currently working with the clerk's office to provide transportation for the election days, to get people that might not have transportation to go vote, to get them to go vote. So I'm waiting to hear back from NISA on that, but we are working with them on getting transportation for people that need it to vote. And we're working with Main Street Brookville to provide transportation services for the eclipse in April. I think that's April. And then our units through November, we're almost back to regular numbers after COVID. Before COVID, we were at 21,500, and now we're at 20,000, basically. So we're almost back to pre-COVID numbers. We're extremely busy. We continue to work with Gleaners once a month. We pass out 200 food boxes every 4th Wednesday of the month. They're increasing that to 225 because the last couple of food banks, we've had to turn people away, seniors, it's for seniors. Every 4th Wednesday of the month, 10 to 11:30. Anybody?
Parking lot fills up.
Yes. Well, we put them in the
No, that one Wednesday. I was up
rate
there.
where they race in the fairgrounds there. We park them in there because we have so many people show up. But we continue to do that. The Senior Meals on Wheels program is delivering approximately 550 meals a month to homebound residents. And we're serving approximately 175 meals inside the senior center a month. Those are $2.50 a meal, or a donation of whatever anybody can afford. And then the senior center was rented 44 of the 52 weeks this year. And I think that's all the updates I have for the end of the year.
Sounds like you're busy.
We are very busy. They're running constantly, which is good. We're staying busy.
So, do we need a motion on the $1,100? I'll make a motion that, the county comes up with the leftover money, $1,100 it was to get
1,117.
the transportation and new van.
So you had said that's in your budget, so all we have to do is approve your purchasing the, correct?
Yeah.
Or do you,
Mhm.
okay. So.
Yep.
She has the 21,000.
She needs
in her budget,
1,100.
But she needs an additional
Yeah.
$1,100 from the.
So then I would second Tom's motion.
So, all in favor?
All right.
Thanks,
That's it.
guys.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Caitlin, do you need us to get you so you can go back down? Okay.
There was a typo on the attorney contract that I presented you guys at the last meeting, and I was just hoping you would sign this updated one that says that our attorney would start December 1st, 2023, not 2024.
Yeah, it's just a typing error, right? No place to sign. Where you want us to sign? Thank you. So, okay, we'll go to number 6, unsafe building code ordinance. We've had an unsafe building code ordinance, but it wasn't exactly friendly to use and to try to figure out. So Grant has worked on us another or an updated or revised ordinance for unsafe building code.
This is similar to the one, or well, it's basically identical to the one that you voted on a month or two back. There were actually a few comments and typos in that version. It wasn't quite ready to be the codified version. So this just cleans up those issues. So this is the final codification version.
Okay, so do we have an ordinance, Erica?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. 20. So I'll make a motion, we adopt ordinance 2023-20. That Grant has cleaned up the Franklin County, Indiana unsafe building and unsafe premises code.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Next thing on our agenda is a contract addendum with Franklin County EMS. It's an addendum to payment $50,000 per month for September, October, November, and December of 23. To keep them going and serving the county, so. What is today's date? 13th? So it'll be the 13th day of December 23. Between Franklin County Emergency Medical Services and the Board of Commissioners of Franklin County. You got a good copy. So I'll make a motion that we sign this addendum with Franklin County EMS for the additional monies for 23.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Next thing we have is MDI. It's our annual agreement with them to do our IT stuff, and it's for $4,500 for a year. I think that's been about the same for several years. and $109 an hour with a cap of $4.99 a day. That's on-site support where something's messed up and they gotta come here. And there's also a thing in here for remote upgrades and installs that they can do remotely for $99.
I make a motion to renew the network and systems support agreement.
Seconded.
Yeah, all in favor. Okay, we need to discuss the stormwater stuff. We looked at was it last meeting that Purdue has put out to make 92 counties all statewide consistent with these stormwater proposals that are going. I know a lot of counties around have upgraded theirs to this. So I'd like to have a discussion with what you guys want to see.
So I can chime in first, just give a little background to what was going on there. I went through it and there were some things that were required for the larger communities that had the specific stormwater system in place. And then like I said, it was MS4 is what that's called. And then there are other areas where it was not required for you to do it if you didn't have an MS4, but they encouraged it. So those are the sections that are kind of highlighted in green and what was presented to you. And going through that again, it looks like those are more specific water quality controls and not water quantity controls. If that makes sense, the baseline is sort of controlling the quantity as far as quantity of runoff. And those green sections are if you want to get into anything specific on water quality. You don't have to adopt any of those sections. I think you can kind of pick and choose if there are any specific things you do want to deal with or don't want to deal with. But that's one decision, high level, that I wanted some input on. And then the other one we can talk about in a little more detail is kind of going through and the process of when these come in, as far as what body these go to initially, and who collects the documents, who does the initial triage, what board they're going to for review, and then if there's an appeal step beyond that review board, that'd be the next thing we'd need to get into. So I don't know if you guys want to discuss those one at a time or what you want to do.
But to me, the MS4s is more like for the cities that already have a sewer system like Brookville or Laurel or incorporated towns. I'd as soon leave that to them, me personally.
And I took out, if it said that it was the sections that said that it was just MS4 and required for MS4, I took out. These are just the things that they still recommended, even if you weren't MS4, but you didn't have to do.
It's my opinion. If we don't have to, I don't think we should. So.
Okay.
So the document said the MS4 pieces were set up where you could just basically click and they were automatically removed from the document. And those, I think we were all in agreement that those should be removed. And then as far as the other optional pieces over and above that, I mean, my opinion is that while those are there, and were put in place by people that know a lot more, Purdue, and people that know a lot more about this than we do. and that those pieces should be left in play. We get rid of the MS4 pieces and leave the rest of the document as it is. And I think that's the way most of the counties are moving forward with it, from what I've seen. And then on the flow, I think the original application as it is today should go to, his question is, where do we start? That would go to APC, because there are some things that would not be required to come before the drainage board and could immediately be approved there. And then if it is required to go to drainage board, they could point them in this direction. Is that correct?
Yeah, they could. I think it's kind of up to us how we want it to go, though. I mean, go to us and the surveyor's office to make sure that it's necessary, and then go to the APC for their guidance or what they want to do with it.
I agree with that. Yeah, the one thing I might not be questioning the right thing here, but I was, first part of it there that I read that was in green was about the quality of the runoff or the quantity. I mean, I think we're more involved with the quantity, and the health department would be involved with the quality of it. Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, I think
we're more like soil erosion
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
But to me, the first person that should look at it besides us is the surveyor, because that's his expertise.
Yeah.
So if it don't even meet those requirements, we're wasting APC's time. When it,
I don't mean the committee, but just the director. So the applicant would go to that office
oh, I see.
initially,
Okay.
and then
Right.
the APC director would point them, would give them next steps. And there are some things that could be, some applications could be immediately approved in that office without needing to take further steps, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
She can on certain things. She
Right.
can approve it by herself without even going to the APC.
That,
But I understand what you're saying now, so okay.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's on that flow chart. He was looking for directions as far as fill in the blanks there. And I think we start with the APC director. And then I lost the page, but and then she would point them in the direction of whether they need to go to review, drainage board, surveyor, what their next steps are, but we start there.
so. I think I'm assuming. I mean, the drainage board normally runs through the surveyor as far as getting that called. So probably that's the next step if there needs to be if it needs to come in front of the drainage board, and they can send a copy to the commissioner's office when they do that, just so you're aware of it. And then it would be set before the drainage board if it needs to be done with the public to see. It needs to be reviewed by the drainage board. One step in here is an appeal process that has an internal appeal. I'm not sure how much that makes sense, because since the drainage board basically is the commissioners, I don't know if it makes sense to have an extra appeal step, unless you want to, if it's like a rehearing at the drainage board would be the appeal. And then after that, if it would go directly to a court challenge, what do you want as far as that step after the drainage board has ruled, if there's any appeal process there?
Well, on this appeals in the D section, it don't really say, it just says the appropriate board on everything, so.
Right, that's what I'm saying. What do you want the appropriate board to be? Because it's a little redundant to me to send it to the commissioners, since the commissioners are on the drainage board and have a majority of the drainage board. I think that would be more like if the drainage board was completely autonomous and then it needed to go to the commissioners, or if it was in the town, it would go to the council for the appeal. But in this case, I don't know if you want that step or not, or if you want a rehearing, or if you want to just say once the drainage board's ruled, it's a final decision, and the next appeal step would be to a court.
Almost think that, you know, if it's done, went through us and it's been turned down, there's no need in appealing to us. I think the next action would be court. Save time.
Okay.
Hey, Grant, excuse me, Grant, this is Rob. I have a
Yes.
question regarding that appeal process. And speaking with our new board attorney for the APC and BZA, they were talking about that in the flow process of approval of projects, anything that would, I guess this would come from commissioners with a recommendation or approval on the drainage. But in some cases, it's going to then flow back down through the area plan and potentially even the BZA. If for whatever reason, somebody's unhappy with a decision, it comes either from the drainage board or even the APC. Typically, that process, I believe, is appealable through the BZA. Is that not right? I mean, is this kind of what we were talking about? Where does the-
Yeah, I don't know that I don't know in the Franklin County on your appeal process, if there is an appeal process of the APC through the BZA. Usually that's the next step after APC or BZA is judicial review. I don't know that there would be anything giving authority of the BZA over a drainage board decision. I guess one thing that could happen is if you need see what he thinks on if the BZA has any authority over that, but I don't know where they would.
You trailed off for quite some time there, Grant.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
We can't hear you, Grant.
Is it on our end or his?
board, and
There
then
you
it
are.
goes to the APC later. It won't get messed up. Still there?
Yeah, we're here. We
Okay.
missed you for about 2 or 3 minutes there.
Oh. Yeah, I'll talk to Jeff about the appeal. I don't think it goes to the BZA.
I would rather, if it's already been turned down by the drainage board, the surveyor and the APC, I don't see any need of running it back through them again. I think it's just that, to me, the next step should be their legal ways. But because if it has to go for another month, then back through all the channels again, and we find the same information, we're going to come to the same results. So might be better to let the courts decide.
But I'll talk to the APC's new attorney about that, so make sure we're on the same page.
All right. Any other questions on? No, a lot of it is definitions in there, which are good.
So did I hear that you say that you wanted to exclude incorporated areas that's not in the county? That's has their own incorporated areas, because Batesville, obviously part of Franklin County, they have their own drainage ordinance, so they wouldn't be applicable with this. However, all the other incorporated areas fall under Franklin County zoning. So Oldenburg, New Trenton, Laurel, they all, when anything comes in for a review or approval, be it a subdivision, a conditional use, something like that, they all fall within that category. So I'm just kind of asking is there a reason not to have them included for part of that as well? Because there's going to be development that'll obviously occur in some of those incorporated areas. And I
Yeah.
think you might want to
I think
consider
they
taking a
would,
look at it.
I think they would fall under the MS4.
No, the
No.
MS4 is 50,000
50,000
or
or greater,
so
but
they,
not,
Yeah.
not always. They can otherwise fall into it too, right, Grant?
I think they'd have to opt into it. And some of these, I mean, especially the little municipalities, I don't know they're going to be equipped to regulate this.
There's no requirement by the state or IDEM for incorporated areas to go into a MS4 unless they hit the population base of 50,000 or greater. And then if a county would hit that population base, then they would become that as well. I think Dearborn County is currently moving to that because they've achieved that threshold at this point. So the entire county then becomes an MS4.
Yeah, but we're only half.
Right. So Franklin
Right.
County won't have to follow those requirements, period, until that happens. But any smaller incorporated area, such as the areas you're talking about, it's not a mandatory thing because they're incorporated. It's just because I think Grant alluded to that they could opt in if they wanted to, but I wouldn't see any reason why they would want to do that because it's a lot more requirements for doing stormwater management. So just to kind of explain that part of it.
It could, I mean, you could easily exclude some place that has their own ordinance in place. I guess you could ask Brookville what their thoughts are on it. I just can't imagine that Mount Carmel would be equipped to handle a project that came in that needed a drainage approval. I can't imagine they have the resources to deal with it.
They don't have a sewer system.
Right, but well, any of the little, yeah, those little outliers in particular, Laurel, Mount Carmel, those types, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense for me that this would cover them, and I don't know what Brookville thinks.
Yep, I just read, it says it's important to note that local jurisdiction entities do not have the authority to directly implement or enforce IDEM. Instead, the local ordinance serves the purpose of which one of the reasons that at a minimum, all of IDEM's GSCP requirements must be included in the local ordinance. So I see what you're saying.
I wouldn't exclude them, but just take the MS4 requirements out of the document.
Yep.
You good with that, Grant?
So what, I guess, as it comes to those big highlighted sections, do you mean I'm leaving them in or taking them out? I guess section 2, section 4, and section 5 that deal with quality. Am I leaving them in or taking them out?
I would only exclude those items that are automatically excluded by the MS4 by declining the MS4 selection. And anything
Okay.
else, I think stays.
So in other words, you would be opting to monitor quality as well as quantity. By leaving in 2, 4, and 5, basically that's what you're doing is opting to monitor quality as well as quantity. Which you can do. I just need to make sure everybody's clear.
Grant, sometimes when they're speaking of stormwater quality, they're talking, and I haven't studied the code thoroughly yet, but a lot of times when it comes to quality, they're speaking of sediment control, erosion, things of that nature. So when you're dealing with stormwater management, quantity and things like that, I think what IDEM was trying to do with the CSGP process, they're trying to wrap quality and management all into one document. And Susan Botkin, she's with Christopher Burke and Associates. She showed up for one of the meetings and spoke on behalf of adopting a stormwater ordinance, their company worked in conjunction with Purdue to write the document that you're talking about. So everything kind of comes together and works together to manage the erosion control and quantity all at the same time is the way that document's set up. So to remove quality would be taking a big part of what their document is out in regard to erosion control. And then you can confirm this with Martin Yake from IDEM. He'll support what I'm saying as well.
As I read it, the quality control didn't have, I mean, there were no testing requirements or anything. It just, as you were saying, we talked about the sediment that might be involved in the runoff. It talked about actually placing even trash obstructions in existing waterways that could then run downstream.
That's correct. In the CSGP, it's construction, I forget what the acronym is, but it replaces what they call Rule 5. And our ordinance, as it set up today, references IDEM Rule 5 permit, which is basically disturbance of 1 acre or more. You have to file a permit with IDEM. They're recommending within that document that any references within local zoning code to strike Rule 5 references and add the CSGP, which goes along with the document that you're talking about adopting here. So that's why I think it's important to consider still keeping all that intact so it functions properly with zoning and the management of all the erosion control and staying compliant with IDEM.
Right. How does it work, Rob, then, if I have 5 acres and I want to clear it, and it's full of brush and stuff? Do I just need a permit to move dirt then after Rule 5?
If you're breaking the surface and removing root balls, yes, you will have to have a permit, a CSGP permit to do that. Now, if you cut down the trees and you don't remove root balls and you just bush hog the ground or use an ambusher or something like that to mulch the undergrowth, that's not considered a situation where you have to get a permit for that. Because I know there was a lot of people that, and it was new for me too, there was people that were doing that, and I talked to people at IDEM and they said, oh yes, you have to do that if you're moving the root balls and disturbing the ground. As soon as you break the ground, that's when that permit's needed if it's over an acre.
So that's how the loggers are getting away with it when they're almost clear cutting. They're not taking any root balls out, so they don't have to have erosion
Right.
control.
I think they know what they're doing when it comes to that.
Any other thing that we need to talk about, Grant?
There's a few smaller things that I may just kind of ask you individually on some input, like the amount of fines and things like that, once I get a little more finalized version. But that should give me a pretty good start on getting it narrowed down now.
I've seen the fine schedule. How's that going to be enforced?
Good question. I'm assuming it's got to be enforced through some of the same mechanisms out of I'm guessing out of the APC office, that they're in the building office that they send those through. There'd be an administrative penalty be levied on there, and I guess if they did not pay them, once you levied them, you'd have to take them to court on it.
So we need a final version.
I'm sorry.
Are you ready to do a final version?
Yeah, I can work on a finalized version of it. And if you, as you guys, if you look through it, if you've got other questions or comments, let me know if there are other tweaks I need to make.
I don't think he can get it done that quick. You could get it done by the 20th, next meeting?
It'd probably be pretty tight. Especially if you want to, yeah, if you want to by Friday before the meeting, I don't think it's gonna happen.
If you can, that'd be nice, but I understand.
Okay.
I was just wondering, is this something that you guys can share with the town of Brookville so we can take a look also before it goes final?
Yeah,
Grant, could you also CC me with that so I have a chance to review? Because I haven't really seen anything that you guys had at this point other than a draft that was issued about, I don't know, 16 months ago. So I'd like to see something that's being put it on the table if you would, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, don't leave, Grant. Next, we have the resolution 2023-43 authorizing land transfer to the town of Brookville. I think we need this. They've already done their resolution. That way they can quit claim it to the town of Brookville. And they can pay us $100,000. Oh, I meant 50,000.
Yeah, so basically the process here, we had an interlocal agreement that laid out everything. The final step is basically adopting identical resolutions on the two sides. Like you said, the town's adopted theirs, you adopt yours. And once that's done, then it would be a matter of getting whatever the town needs to issue the check, and you execute the deed and send it over to them.
Okay, everything's cleared with NDOT, right? In the state of Indiana. We got a clean bill of health on the property and all the goodies and.
Yeah, they were out of it. They did, my understanding, they did environmental before it left their possession and reviewed anything that needed to be reviewed. So yeah, NDOT has nothing to do with the property anymore.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure because there's still a tank in the ground. I don't know who's gonna be responsible if it's contaminated, because we got a thing from them that it's environmentally safe, so. I'll make a motion that we sign this resolution to transfer the land to the town of Brookville. It's the old NDOT building with the salt dome and stuff down there.
Seconded.
All in favor?
We need a separate motion then, Grant, authorizing the quit claim deed. Is that?
Yeah, we got it here.
Yeah, I just authorize Tom to sign off on the quit claim deed when the town's ready to cut the check. I don't know if the town needs an invoice or anything, or if they're just able to do that.
You need an invoice, Bridget? Or is it good enough in this resolution? Okay, if you need one, let us know. Yeah. So we doing this quick claim deed or we wait until payment?
I just authorize you to be able to sign it when payment's ready.
It's got all three signatures on here, so I'd make a motion that Jerry and I go ahead and sign this quit claim deed and allow Tom to finalize the document upon receipt of funds.
That works.
I'll second it.
All in favor? We're gonna try to do that before the first, right? First of the year. Okay. Oh, okay. Next thing is the approval for, Brackney IMI in the new exhibit building. It's invoices. And there's some more? Okay. We'll read them off here. Cedar Grove Fire Department for $2,670.56. Cedar Grove Fire Department for $3549.19. And Cedar Grove Fire Department for $260.32. Brackney for $19,600. And that's the same. Should be another one here somewhere. There it is. I'm a $4,557. This one for. Where's it at? Is that the 4-H building they're talking about?
Erica, what's the balance on this?
That's the balance. Okay. And 135,407. Okay. This is ARPA money too. It's to Jim Dunbar, who's the architect to draw the plans. $2,200. It's for DLZ on our handicap stuff. It's the final invoice, I guess. Yes, last invoice. $2,650. And this is for Dan Berger on his concrete. Also paid with ARPA money. Both of these are $17,939.95. I'll make a motion to approve all these ARPA claims to get them paid.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Next thing is this sewer coordinator appointee. And looking at it, we need somebody as an appointee, as a coordinator to coordinate all this information that will come back to us on this possibility of a sewer prod on Reservoir Hill. So actually, I haven't talked to him, but our office has talked to Daryl Kramer about being that appointee. And he said he will take that appointment as long as he don't make no final decision on nothing. He'll gather all the information from the different entities that we need to do and give that information to us so we can read it and digest it.
So I make a motion to nominate Daryl Kramer for the sewer coordinator appointment.
Second that.
All in favor? Good
Hey.
luck.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
And just to clarify, so there's not public confusion, this is still going to run through the whole RFP process and do all that once we know that IEDC has approved the transfer of this. This is just getting a coordinator in place to get them up to speed so that as that process starts running and things start coming back, that party will be ready to hit the ground running and make sure things keep flowing.
Yep, that's what we was in hopes of. Do we know what the timeline might be for IEDC to approve that?
I think that's a John or Bill question. I don't know.
Okay. The clerk's monthly report. I'll make a motion that we accept the clerk's monthly report for November.
Seconded.
All in favor?
We have one from the treasurer. Oh. I mean, yeah, it may have been something. Jolene, are you planning on coming after the first of the year?
Yes, I'm scheduled to be there on the 10th of January.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to acknowledge you received the treasurer's report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
We have commissioner meetings minutes from November 1, 15, and November 29th, and December the 4th and the 8th. November 8th. Does anybody have an additional or changes to the minutes of the commissioners meeting?
I did not. I'd make a motion. We approve the minutes as presented.
John has made a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the auditor.
For all four meetings, or just
All five.
all five meetings?
Correct.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Larry, can you real quick, can you give us an update of what we got going on and
Maybe. Somehow this mic's messed up.
grab that other one there in front of,
How's that? That's better. Currently, we have a pocket road structure that the contractor is building for us. It's a steel grate bridge on concrete abutments. We've got the west footing in and forming the west wall. Hopefully have it finished by that wall by the end of this week. For the next footing and wall next week. Tentatively, the schedule is for the superstructure to ship not this Friday, but next Friday. So that'll be, should work out pretty decent. Community Crossing Grant 2024, that we just got a update from the state. They are raising the maximum award to $1.5 million from 1 million. Need to have some discussion, not necessarily today, but whether or not we want to increase the amount that we try to put in for to get or not. Our contribution on 1 million was around 330,000 at 75.25. And at $1.5 million, it'd be at even 500,000. So we'd have to come up with another 170,000 roughly if we went for the $1.5 million.
can we do that, Brian?
Okay,
We want all we can get from them,
okay.
our gas tax money.
We've been discussing putting in for some highways, some roads out in District 3. They're currently, the district has got the least amount of asphalt projects. And it's going to be slightly over $1 million, I think. I don't think it'll be $1.5 million. So we'll look into getting some additional road mileage in that. The money we got for replacing Fords, the $500,000 this year. I have a project out on Bessler Road. It's a 3-sided concrete box. We kind of waited on putting it in till, of course, we waited till the asphalt was done. Then we put a couple structures in on Pocket Road out in South Pocket Road. Anyway, everything time-wise got backed up. Just recently realized that our equipment's not big enough to pick these boxes up. So I would like to possibly contract the installation out. The funds will run out unless they're encumbered. They'll run out at the end of this year. And in order to encumber it, we have to have a contract or award of some sort. I do have a quote from Olco to install them. It's $31,286.28. They've been doing these projects. I don't have but one quote. I didn't really have time to get more quotes, or would like to have more quotes. They've been doing these kind of projects all summer long around the state, so I know they can do it. I know they have the equipment. Like to work to them, but like to have you guys to okay that.
Larry, I got a question. What's the date on that
On what?
invoice, on that quote that you got in front of you?
December 7th.
Is there any reason why we didn't put this out for bid to other companies in the Indiana?
Well, if it's less than 50,000, you can take quotes. So we took quotes. I went to Oco because I was afraid there's gonna be a time constraint, basically, on trying to get quotes. So I knew they had expertise in doing that, so I went to them and got a quote. Now, if the council would want to carry over some of those funds into next year, then we could go ahead and postpone this and get some additional quotes.
I don't, I don't see any reason why these funds cannot be carried over if they're earmarked for the next, for 2025. You've had these since since the beginning of the year.
You gotta have an invoice, don't you, Erica, to encumber?
Well, if they encumbered it into their budget, but we can just earmark it for them for next year, correct? Okay. If they lose. Okay, but if they don't, and it rolls over to county general, we can just say, okay, now we want to give this money additional.
County'd have to.
We just have to reappropriate. Okay, so.
So if you think the council would reappropriate it, then that's fine. We can go ahead and.
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but I'm one vote, and I'm a big fan of the more quotes we can get, the better off we can.
On the additional monies, Larry, you said that that would be a little less, or a little more than 1 million. Is there a small project that we can do to make up the 400,000 or whatever it might be?
Yeah, we can come up with some more mileage.
Is there a small structure we can do that's not very big for that amount?
Where's Richland Creek gonna fall in?
I'd have to check on small structures. I know you can include small structure replacement in a overall project. Like if you were paving a road and you wanted to replace a structure within that project, I know you can do that, but I don't know if they'll actually fund a small structure replacement. They might. I'll try to get a hold of them, see what they will and won't do.
Would there be a way to just do a section of Richland Creek and include that bridge?
We're gonna have some kind of design work done, or if we were to use, somehow or another, we're going to have to do some kind of design work. And that'll have to be paid for up front before we could turn it in for a community crossing type project.
When's the final date to submit?
Into January, maybe the 1st of February. Right in there sometime.
Larry, I was in here a month ago, and Richland Creek's been out for a long time, and I was in here a month ago, and I asked if you could do a hydraulic study to at least start the process of getting this bid out. And you were supposed to contact, you said you needed the surveyor. Have you contacted the surveyor and worked on what you need to do a hydraulic study?
No, but I've got a basis for a hydraulic study. You can go through what's called stream stats. You can go through stream stats and it'll give you the drainage area and the Q100, and it's not 100% accurate, but it's fairly accurate. And I'm still, the way prices have gone for bridges, I still think it's going to be $500,000 or more. As far as the project goes, you're still going to have probably a 55 or 60 foot structure in there, possibly longer.
Okay, that's possibly, could be. What are we doing to get these people access either ways from their houses?
Looking for funds.
No, we're not looking for funds. We're looking for you to
Sure
do
we
a
are.
hydraulic study so we can start the project.
We can discuss this at another time, try to get these projects underway. So Justin, you have anything for us from the highway? Yeah, it's in there. There be nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
I think we should try to get that Richland Creek in there if we got that much money.
I agree.
Oh, really?
Well, we already sent two.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah. How does, in regard to the railroad?